Welcome everyone to the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul podcast, where I am your host, Dr. Michelle Bolden Hammond. And listen, I know last week we were missing in action, but many of you know there was a little stuff that family life that's going on. But before I talk about what's going on with family life, it is very important that I have my special guest here because what happened in my family life is something that my guest Anthony Carter is here to talk about. And you look, I am so honored to have you here, Anthony. Thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you so much.
No problem. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad we met. I'm glad you invited me. I am glad to be here.
Yeah. So Anthony is going to be sharing. Anthony did something along for, because we know as men, it's very hard for men to go get those physicals, to go check it out. But you came with a different twist. And there's something, folks, that I'm going to share with you about Anthony, and he's going to give you some of these, tips. And there's an initiative. The reason why I said I wanted him here because he has an October initiative that I think is awesome. Because you guys know, here with me, I'm all about setting that encouragement, giving that encouragement, doing what we need to do, especially to get our communities together. Because where I met him was at the 4th annual Holistic Professional of Color HPOC conference, and his documentary was life-changing, very life-changing. So Anthony, we get ready to get started because I don't want to give it all away, but I'm just so excited again. Thank you for saying yes, for coming here, because I think it an honor. I think it is an honor to have you here because, like I said, the situation that I had is a situation that you're talking about that I'm taking very dear to this week. And it's funny that it happened, but I believe things happen for a reason. So I agree. Again, welcome here to Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul. So this documentary, Anthony, with the first question, give the people who you are a little bit, but also with this telling you about your story, how you got started. The documentary is called Ask the Old Guy. And just tell them, who is the old guy?
Okay, thank you for having me, and I am honored as well to be here. We met at the conference. We met in the hallway and started talking. And like, okay, we got to do something together, right? And that was less than a week ago, and we held our word. We are doing something together, so we are taking care of business. So let me jump right in. So I'll talk a little bit about me, then I'll tell you who the old guy is. So my name is Anthony Carter. I am a whole food plant-based health coach, and I specialize in supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are combating hypertension and want to use a whole food plant-based lifestyle and do it without medication, do it with the addition of a supportive community, and also do it with, when I say do it, combat hypertension using stress elimination techniques, not stress management, but elimination. So that's what the film is about. Ask the Old Guy is a title. I've read a lot of things, I've seen a lot of things. So a lot of times things kind of mesh together in my head in a certain way. And I put it out in the world and I said, I wonder if anybody will get this or understand. But the title initially came from, there used to be a group of, there was a group of comedians a long time ago, and they would always say, ask the kids in the hall, right? And this is a group that I think Mel Brooks came out of and a bunch of those comedy legend, heavyweights. And I remember reading something about it and hearing about these interviews. They kept saying, ask the kids in the hall, ask the kids in the hall. And originally I was going to name the film, Ask the Old Guy in the Corner. Then I thought, why is the old guy in the corner? He doesn't need to be in the corner. So then I changed it to Ask the Old Guy. And Ask the Old Guy is all about asking someone who is farther along on the continuum and whatever it is you're trying to do. So for example, many times I find myself, I'm 57 now, and I find myself talking to people who are 10 or 15 years older than me. right? And there are things that I'll say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or this happened. What do you think about that? And they have, my experience is that they typically have some insight, some patience, some understanding of what could happen that maybe I don't have an understanding of. So the whole title is about building intergenerational relationships, building relationships that are beyond what you have become accustomed to. So many times I find when you want to make a leap in your life or a change, it requires you to broaden your friendship circle. It requires you to broaden your network, right? There might be some people down the street you haven't met yet because you're over here. So asking the old guy is all about how do I find somebody who knows more about whatever the subject is and tap into their knowledge. And we have an exchange. So that's where the title came from.
That's, that you like me. Sometimes you be sitting up thinking, you be like, you can go back to some of this stuff from the old guy. Cause look, we telling that you told your age, you told your age when you talking about Mel Brooks. Okay, that's some old school stuff. So
Old.
old school stuff. So my little 30 somethings and over, you might have to go look that up in
Mhm.
some history stuff. But I feel, when you say the voices now, especially when you're talking about intergenerational issues,
Mhm.
again, it's always been the stigma. Men don't follow up to the hospital. So the question I'm asking you, you know, what first convinced you that this is needed, especially this documentary? It could have been just an article you can wrote in, or a podcast, or it could have been a
Mhm.
narrative film, but you done won an award-winning documentary for this. So explain that a little bit.
Okay. It's interesting because when I started doing all of this kind of work, I started off writing because I have my background is in theater and performing. So I've done a lot of that. And long story short, I moved from New York where I was doing a lot of that, and I moved to LA to do TV and film. That didn't pan out for a number of reasons, but I kept writing, and I've always been writing. So I started blogging about a lot of the things that I was seeing that just didn't make any sense to me. A lot of the things we were taking on, as men, as black men, as black gay men, it didn't make sense to me. And I remember asking, why are we doing some of these things? Or why are we having to relearn the same lesson over and over and over again? So I started off writing about a lot of things in terms of being black and male and what mental health could look like, or what I think it should look like, right? So I started off writing. I really started doing theater, started doing a lot of blogging, ended up, putting some books together. And then the movies came about because, in my opinion, it was the next logical incarnation of my storytelling abilities and storytelling career. I did this film because I had been wanting to do, it was during COVID, and I don't know about anybody watching this or know about you personally, but I know for me, COVID was a major, major, major life reset. It put
Mm-hmm.
everything in perspective for me. It's one of those things that happens and you can't pretend it didn't happen, right? And you can use it to reset your life and say, well, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Or you can put your head in the sand and say, whoo, thank God we got over that. Let me move on to it. Let me do business as usual. I decided to really do a major reset. And one of the things I wanted to do, I thought I really want to I was asking myself a question one day. What do you want to do? Why are you here? Right? And the thing that popped out of my mouth and I spit it out into the universe was, I want to dedicate my life to making documentary films. Didn't know what that meant, didn't have some grand plan, hadn't interviewed anybody. It wasn't like I had tried it before and I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to this. This is just something that came out of my mouth. I was sitting on my couch in Long Beach, California, and it just popped out, right? And I thought, whoa, right? So I said that on a Friday. On a Monday, I got a flyer from a friend of mine, an ex-coworker, about making films at USC. And the flyer said something along the lines of, here's a class to make documentary films for social change. And I thought, whoa, that was a quick turnaround. So I took that. That was Monday. They were having a meeting that Wednesday, 2 days later. 2 days later, I met with the wonderful instructor, Dr. Rafael Angulo, and I met with, his TA, whatever. So they're pitching this program, and, it's a 9-month program, and this is what it costs, and blah, blah, blah. You can do this, you can do that. And it was one of those situations where every cell in my body started vibrating, right? And every cell was like, do this, you need to do this, right? So about 20 minutes in, I was sold. I was like, I don't care what I have to do. If I got to eat, beans and rice, scrub floors, I'm getting up in here, right? I'm gonna do whatever, sell limbs, do whatever. I need to be here, right? Made the decision, got in the class, started working on it, started learning a lot about making films. I know a lot about storytelling, but not so much about making documentary films. And originally was going to do a film about police brutality and Black men. Halfway through the process, that fell apart. And then somebody came up to me. I met some woman. I don't know who this woman was. I've never seen her since. She popped up on a Zoom call, and her words to me were, have you thought about doing a film where you could create some type of social change that didn't require the world to change? Something you could do, like, if you thought about making a film where somebody could see it right then and there, pick up a piece or two and make a change in their house immediately, present, right that day. And I said, oh, and I thought, well, I hadn't thought about that. And then I thought, well, I can start documenting my journey, my health journey. I don't know who this woman was. Nobody I know knows who she is. Everybody that I said, do you remember her? Nobody has seen this woman. I don't know where she came from. Everybody keeps looking at me like I'm crazy when I mention her. I'm like, well, this did happen. I was there, But I ended up making this documentary about my combating hypertension and how I had gained this weight, and my hypertension was super high, and I was getting ready to have a stroke. And what I did to turn it around, and I wanted to make it. I knew that making it into a film would reach more people, because I know people typically, by and large, in this culture, we don't do a lot of reading. So I thought, well, I could write something that's never gonna get read. I could stand up and pitch something, and people are not gonna really listen. But I decided to try to make my goal was, my co-director and our goal throughout the whole process was, in these 9 months, how can we make a super impactful film that's only 15 minutes? With the goal being, we want to get these films into community centers, churches, sororities, fraternities. And we want to reach a certain audience, like my dad's age, who will be 80 next year, or people, people in their 60s and 70s. And I know, what would I need to do so that they would pay attention? Because I know people of that age, my dad is not going to listen to me for 2 hours talk about what he should be eating. That's not going to happen. So we were making this film. We kept saying, how can we get the most impact, the most bang for our buck in a 15-minute short, right? How can we make it really impactful? And from what you just said at the intro, from what I've heard when people have seen it, we nailed it, right? In terms of what people are like, oh, this is very impactful. Because you never know. You're in your house shooting during COVID. You don't know whether or not this is going to work. I'm in my kitchen shooting, and I'm in my garden back in California, and I'm interviewing people. You're just kind of like, and that. But I think there's something to having this pure intention. I wanted to do this, and I wanted to reach these people, and I want to do it in this amount of time. So I believe we did it.
You sure did. You did that, as the young folks say. You did that. You did that, and you did it all behind the COVID, because you know what, I'm like you too. COVID was a reset time for me as well. I think if you had a lot of creativity and any ideas during that time, that, for me, I created a whole song, and it actually reflected back from what was going on from poetry that I had did 7 years ago. Wow. 7 years prior to COVID. So yeah, I actually produced and got a song, Seize a Moment, because what was happening, people were dying and people just taking life for granted. You didn't know if you walk out the door, you would, during that time. Right. And then it created, the song came back. So I'm like you. I don't understand where it come from, where the person was saying, like, I can't find the person now. But I'm always a person that said, from the powers that be. The universe will send people your way, and they might not, you'll never see them, but they're always the ones to spark the initiative for you to get your calling done. So look, audience, this is where I'm putting across there where you can find the video, the documentary. I will tell you, sit down with a male family member or just any family member to get this message spread, because it's a very intensive movie that you need to see if it's saving lives. Because again, as we say for HPOP, if we heal ourselves, we heal our communities. And when we get back from break, you're going to hear more about how Anthony has done this with healing himself. And now he's looking for the initiative to start healing the community. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back. Welcome back to the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul podcast, where I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Bolden Hammond, and I am here with my special guest, Anthony Carter, who is a film writer, director. You put it all in there. You just put it all on there. Storyteller, look, a health advocate, somebody who's a go-getter, a change setter for the world, right? So I'm so welcome, and I'm so happy that you're here with us tonight, sharing, this information. So again, when we're talking about the impact, the audience impact, because I saw the film, and I loved it that you had someone who wanted to give you that information. And that is one thing I feel as though, let me move a little closer into the camera with this one. I thank you for not being a gatekeeper of this information, because again, you have won awards for this, at film festivals. You're going all around the world touring about this. I love it that you're not gatekeeping it, the information. And a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, I know people, this could be someone's job. This could be someone's, meat, bread and butter. But I'm also the type of person who, if I got something, I'm going to share it. Because you know what, Anthony, and I know this has happened for you. As you just said, you didn't even know who that person was to come in. Those are the kind of things that when you don't gatekeep, what happens? And look what happened.
Absolutely.
You just can't keep it to you, because you know what? It's a lot of work out here. There's a lot of massage therapists. There's a lot of nutritionists. There's a lot of people who teaching a lot of things. Just because you in the same arena doesn't mean you do it the same way. And you have a physique, a spark that will ignite you to your community. So that's what I want to share with the audiences too. We actually talked about this, and I'm passionate about it. I don't gatekeep. Trust me, it be sometimes that I'm like, I'm giving this information up, but I know how it comes back to me. It came back with me, just us having a conversation with you, and you're here within a 1 week's time. You're doing dynamic things. Again, I'm getting excited. I'm getting emotional about it, because that's all we need in this world. We don't need to gatekeep a whole lot of stuff or put a price tag on it. If you are about serving people, and I know you're about servitude, I know you're about helping people along, so it's going to come back to you, and I have many blessings in that. But the primary audience, let's go to the impact in the audience. Who is the primary audience that you imagine, and who surprised you by responding to it?
The primary audience for this film, I thought initially it was going to be Black men between 40 and 60, maybe 40 and 70, right? but definitely mature, older Black man who, my experience has been when you hit 40, and this is my experience, and I've talked to a number of other men about it. When you hit 40, it's something about hitting 40, right? You hit 40, all of a sudden things kind of, I don't want to say they click or they make sense. You see them differently, right? You see things differently. And by the time you hit 50, unfortunately, many of us have begun to start losing friends and family members. So then you realize, okay, between 40 and 50, you typically realize, okay, playtime is over. It's time for me to be an adult and like go for whatever it is I'm gonna go for because I'm not getting any younger. You know, when you're 25 or 30, you think you have a lot of time. I know I did. I thought I had all the time. I thought I was gonna be 25 forever, right? And I looked up and I was like, damn, I'm 40, right? So there's something about that age range, like I said, between 40 and 50. The film, I was making it for, I thought in my head I would make it um for some reason I was thinking like my dad's age group and maybe younger. And he's when I first made it, he was in his mid 70s, right? So I was thinking about older men, but then I started thinking once it was done, I started putting it out there. I realized it would be great to catch men at 40 to make some health changes as opposed to trying to catch them at 65 or 70, right? It might be a little easier to get them to switch things up at 40 as opposed to 70. And to answer your second question, I'm always amazed when it's so funny. I was telling my mom this a couple of weeks ago. Whenever I show the film, I've had a number of women say, "Well, hey, what about us? Or what about me?" You know, and I'm working on an appropriate response because what I feel is that, and I said, I think when we met, I was saying it in the room that it seems to me, and I could just this could be an assumption on my part, but it seems to me that women, and in particular Black women, have a different understanding of what wellness looks like. They seem to have a different understanding of the importance of it, of the significance of it. They have an understanding of, okay, let's kind of circle the wagons and make sure we're all good. When I say we, I mean they have a tendency, from what I've seen, to make sure that other Black women are doing well. So when women have approached me about this and they've said this to me at screenings or like, reached out to me, my take on it is, yeah, I understand that hypertension is a problem with women, but because I'm male, I had to mark. I've got to figure out some way to start. I got to have an end, right? I got to market to
Right.
some. I've got to have I got to choose a lane, basically, right? And really just hammer down on that. And because I'm Black and male in my 50s, I know the kind of conversations that people are having with their doctors. I know the kind of conversations Black men are not having with their doctors. I know the conversations we're not having with one another. So when I always feel a little when women ask me that, well, how come somebody said the other day, a friend of mine who did a film, she and I did a film together here in my house 2 weeks ago, well, a month ago. She sent me, I saw posted something from HPOC and she wrote me back this note. She's like, this is really great. What about the ladies? What about me? And I was like, and I thought, well, give me a minute. Let me get this market handle. Then we will expand it. So that's always a little shock. It's always kind of a shock for me, but it lets me know that what I'm hitting, because when people see it, when Black women see it, when they ask it, that's kind of like I think the most exciting part of that for me is when they see it, they immediately start asking for help for themselves and their community. So to me, it lets me know, okay, you recognize that not only is this an issue, but here's a potential solution. So
Right.
that's all exciting. Like, oh, you see what I'm doing.
Right.
You see I'm not just screaming into the void, right? So that's always very uplifting, like, whoa, okay, you get it. I don't have to explain it. I don't have to, justify it. You get it. So that's always exciting.
That you hit something on the head, because that's the same question I get, because I do women's retreats, right?
Mhm.
One year I added men to it, and I mean it was good, but it's that's not my gifting. My gifting is dealing with women who, been through some things that I can understand for them to have the self-care and things that they need. So I feel you on that. But after show, I got an idea just popped in my head. I just want to share it with you. I'm
Okay.
share with you on it. But hey,
Okay.
so the conversations that you want your viewers, again, we're going to put this up for you again. I dare you to go and visit this link. Put the link down. I want you to go visit this link, and I want you to see this for yourself, how it can make an impact in your family, especially for those males, even the younger males, because I'll give a little piece of the nugget. Even in this film, there was someone, because of how he was growing up in his household, had to make a change. I will say, if for this gentleman, it had to take the opposite to come along for him to change his dietary thing. So I will just give you that. So I gave you a little piece. I'm not giving you the more. You have to go and watch it for yourself. So, the viewers, what conversations you want them to roll over in the room?
The conversations, primarily what I want people to have conversations around the the shifting of the beliefs and the shifting of their identities. And what I mean by that, I spoke when I was with you guys last week. I spoke about how, when you want to oppress people or control them, right? There are three N's that you use: normal, necessary, and what's that one? Normal, necessary, and natural, right? There are some things we have taken on that we just think are normal, or it's just the way that it is. There's some things we've taken on that we think are natural. Oh, this is, it's natural. This is genetic. Everybody's got this. My daddy had it. His daddy had it, all my uncles. So I should have it too, right? And we talk about something being necessary. We think that it's necessary to put salt on everything. It's necessary to fry everything, but that's not true, right? So the conversations I would love to see people have is, how do we shift our beliefs? How do we shift our mindsets? How do we shift our um, thinking about what's actually possible? I was just telling somebody today, and I was telling you guys last week, that for some reason we've bought into this whole thinking that to be Black means to be unwell, right? To be unhealthy. The conversations after seeing this film, I want people to have a conversation to say, no, I'm not going to do it that way. There's got to be a better way. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do it this way, right? And that was the spark of my film. I was like, after going to the doctor and just being like, almost like herded into medication and all this kind of stuff because of what I look like in my age. I remember thinking, I don't want to do it this way. And what's interesting is that so many of us, we don't have that conversation. We don't have that thought. But my goal would be, when people watch this movie, when you watch it in a community center, when you watch it in a fraternity group, a sorority, that you say, okay, we know what else could we do? I said it weeks ago I do a podcast, I do a Facebook Live every Tuesday called Plant Powered Brothers. And one of the things I talked about a couple of months ago was just the absolutely astonishing ability we have as Black people to create and do things, right? I don't know any other race on the planet who's been through what we've been through, who's able to still, just you're looking like, how did you come up with that? Right? And it's just like, so we can do anything, right? It's been proven that, we can't, that doesn't mean we go through things unscathed, but we are a group, we are a race of people that has proven that we always figure out a way,
Yes.
right? Even
I don't
when
know it.
everything around us is telling us, no, this is the way
No.
that it is,
Yeah.
right? We always figure out a way. So my thing is, I want to use, you can't see it here on the wall. There's a poster. I have these, it's from 1963. They're in Birmingham, Alabama. These kids are getting hosed, right? And I keep that right near me when I'm writing, when I'm doing podcasts, to remind myself to be courageous, to remind myself I'm not dealing with that. And those kids, and they were young kids, so if they did, I could do anything. So my goal with this film is the same way. We got to tap into whatever those folks are doing in 1963 and before. We got to tap into that and say, no, we're not doing it this way. I
That's
don't care
right.
that everybody says you should do it this way. I don't
Wow.
care that, it's like you go to see the doctor and they tell you, oh, well, you're in your 50s. Okay, what I can't do anything about that. Like, well, you're
Yeah.
male. Okay, well, that's what it is. And you're black. Okay, what else you got? You know, so my goal is that when people see this, they get upset and they decide, they get angry like I did. And like, we're not doing it this way. No, ma'am, no, sir. This is not an option. And that's kind of that's my goal with the film is I want people to say, you know what if, just to start thinking about what if I did it this way? What if I gave up this way of life? What if I started eating this way? What if I made my health a priority? So that is the goal. So that's where I'm going with the film. I hopefully people will have those type of conversations.
And then look, as we said, the reason why the main initiative, because there is a very important initiative that I want everyone to go grab your tea. Grab your tea. Need to get your ink pens. There is something. The reason why I had Anthony here, because we get ready to end in this September. There is something that he is get ready to break for. So, Anthony, do you want to explain what that is?
Sure, it's the Dare Quest. It's not a challenge, it's a quest. I am looking for my magnificent seven, as I refer to them. So, seven Black men, 40 to 60, who want to combat hypertension using plants, using community, using stress elimination techniques. The goal is to do a 30-day sprint beginning October 1, running through the whole month, every Saturday beginning October 4th. So, the first Saturday in the month, October 4th, I'll be doing a live call. So I will be doing a live class about an hour 15. I will be coaching in real time. I will be supporting other Black men and snatching back their health and getting healthy. They will be supporting me. We're building a community. So the goal is that, like I say, I have 7 spots for my Magnificent Seven. It begins October 1st, October 1. It runs 30 days. If you are interested, she put the link up there now. There's a discovery link for Catalina. If you're interested, set up a time to speak with me so I can see whether or not we are a match. The goal is to really lock in for a month and look at how, how and when we make our health a priority and when we don't, and what it looks like to be supported for 30 days and say, we're going to make this a priority. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about spirituality. We're going to talk about mindset shift. We're going to talk about switching up your identity so that you're not just a body, a meat suit here running around the planet Earth. Like, you came here to do something. And in order to do something substantial, you got to be healthy. You got to have your health. So October 1st, the whole month, every Saturday in October, I'll be going live at 10 a.m. EST for an hour 10, hour 15. We'll be doing workshops during that time. I'll be doing live coaching, and it's free. I meant to mention that it is free, FREE, free. So no reason not up. I don't want to hear I can't afford it. There's no reason to not sign up.
I love it. I love it. You can't look. Actually, you can't even put a price tag on your wealth of your health.
Mhm.
Hey, you're gonna get your life back. You're gonna get you're gonna eliminate some of the health barriers, and you're also gonna get the education, because again, you never know. You might be part in another film ahead. So I just say that you never know. What this is a movement. So this is a movement.
Yes.
It's a movement. It's a movement to get our communities well. Because look, men, we need you. We need you. We need you to take your households back. How is that? One way is to listen and get your bodies in straight. Just don't like you said, you're not just a body. You are some bodies that needs to be incorporate the wellness
Mhm.
for your health. So I appreciate it. I thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on. So, is there one last thing that you would like to give to the audience?
I think one last thing would be uh, please watch the film. I didn't put the link in there, but if you could grab the link for me and drop the YouTube link for the film, because it's
Got
not
it.
connected with this, because this was later. So if you can drop the link for the film, please watch the film. Please know that you can make a change, that you can shift your identity, that as wonderful as doctors are, and I have doctors in my family and lawyers, as wonderful as doctors are, they do not know everything. They don't have all the answers. They got some of the answers because they've gone to school. They have some of the answers, but ultimately, you have the answers. And what I want to leave you with is that is a you and your primary physician is a partnership, and the partnership is to get you to optimal health, whatever that looks like.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, audience, as I always end the show, again, Anthony, thank you so much for this. And
Thank
I will
you.
actually play this again in the beginning of October again to catch it up. And audience, I'm telling you, go check this out. It is life-changing. I'm telling you. You know what? I come on here. I don't tell you anything crazy. I tell you the truth. You see the truth. You see how I connect with people, because they be like, Michelle, where do you be meeting these people at? Hey, you ask, seek, and you knock.
Right.
I work the room. That's just how it is. That's just how I work the room, and spirit connects me with where I need to be connected to. So that's how that. So again, when you get this, look at this. Please go follow him. Check this out. Get the mails, even for females. It's it was some some insights from some females in there too as well. So again, Anthony, I want to say thank you so much for taking your time out, saying yes, coming aboard here at Upfront. And again, this will not be your last time. So I will be looking forward to having you back again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. I
appreciate that.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So for every time when I leave from the show, I usually tell everyone a little mantra. So this mantra that I have for the ending of the night show is: sunset is the opening music of the night. So until we meet, until next week, audience, have a great week, grow and prosper. And again, it's time to reset your mindset. So have a great week. Signing off, Dr. Michelle Bowden Hannon of the Upfront Mind, Body, and Soul podcast.